Well, this week's going to start off unusually mild across a good part of the nation. It does look like we're going to have some active weather with some heavy rain along the North Gulf Coast and eventually some in the far west parts of coastal California. Let's get started in today's weekly weather briefing. Well, to sort of indicate how quiet it is right now, look at the current watches and warnings. There's not much going on. Large areas of high pressure, but this is what we're watching right here. See this stalled front? Right here, we're going to have low pressure moving along that, and that's going to bring some heavy rain to that area. Now, if we take a look at the rainfall over the last week, Texas and Arkansas, some modest rain. And remember, for La Nina, this is the area where we could get above normal precipitation. We also had some heavy rain in the higher elevations here around Seattle, lower elevations, also some heavy precipitation. Now I wanted to sort of step back and look at the month to date as far as the percent of normal rainfall. And this dark red is only 10% of normal. So many areas have been really dry. The plains, the Midwest, the Southwest U.S., Florida, Mid-Atlantic. Really, the area that's been wet has been part of Montana and the Pacific Northwest. Everywhere else, most areas at least well below normal rainfall. Now, there was some snow last week, as we would expect this time of year. Rockies, Cascades, higher elevations, and also along the Canadian border and along parts of the Great Lakes region. But it was fairly light. Another significant weather story last week were the above normal temperatures. The departures were 10 degrees or higher over these areas in red. And if you want to look at the hottest temperature of the week, the highest temperature, we made it into the 80s all the way into this area in orange. Now, a cold front did come later in the week and it knocked things back closer to normal in many of these areas. But it's pretty unusual for Springfield, Missouri or St. Louis to make it up near 80, maybe even 85. And look at parts of Texas at red. That's still 90-degree readings. On the other hand, where we had that snow, much cooler, only high temperatures in the 40s. So here are river conditions. Red dots indicate below normal river flows, and with that, 30-day anomaly, or not 30, the November to date anomaly departure, you would expect low stream flow in many spots. So Mid-Atlantic really running low and parts of the Midwest really running low. So what that's doing is that's letting rivers down here in the lower Mississippi, Memphis and Vicksburg, these are our inflows from the upper Mississippi and from the Ohio, we are dropping back down in low flow conditions. So we, generally speaking, most areas need more precipitation. Okay, so let's take a look at the forecast this week. This is going to be one of the bigger stories. It's going to be this rapidly moving eastward system. By Thursday, it's already over here, and we have this system digging in here. That's going to bring some cooler air in. But before we get that, we are going to have this high pressure here ridge over the area and going to bring some mild weather for most of the week. And then we see by Sunday that system is pushed off to the east and high pressure begins to push back. Okay, so let's talk about what does that mean for precipitation? What does that mean for temperature? Let's first talk about temperature. Next 5 days, well above normal. Take a look at Iowa and Minnesota. That's 15 degrees above normal. Then the second 5 days, right in here. And then maybe, and I say maybe because there's a little uncertainty in the model, but right now it looks like maybe around Thanksgiving we could get a cold shot pushing in as the jet stream sinks to the south. And even if it does, it looks like it's going to be somewhat short-lived. Hey, take a look at Minnesota, Minneapolis here. Normal high temperature is about 43 degrees. We're going to hit 60s this week, near 60s, and almost all week near or above the 50-degree mark. So what a reprieve for November in an area that's usually really cold. I put in a loop here that this goes through. It looks like, what is it? It goes through December, right around Christmas, I believe. And you can see the dominance of above normal temperatures, the orange shades, the red shades. Now, the greatest red shades are coming up in the near term this week. So we will have above normal temperatures in good parts of November and December, but it won't be to the extent as probably what we're seeing this week. I also see from time to time, like right here, cold spell, maybe 3 to 5 days, and then right behind it, it warms up again. So I put a blog post out this week. I sort of talked a little bit about how it's showing it being unusually mild. And I believe this week the long-term outlook is updated from NOAA. I'll get that out as well. So just when you think hurricane season is over, and it probably is, but we have an area of unsettled weather in the Caribbean that could cause some issues in that area, but it doesn't look like it's going to do a whole lot. Okay, so I talked about temperature, talked about the tropics. Let's talk about rainfall or snow. And most of the nation here is going to be pretty quiet this week, but a couple areas. Look at that north coast system. That's going to move right up here. And North Gulf Coast with some heavy rain. Hey, look at this. This is Louisiana, and look at the drought indicator. That's an exceptional drought. That's the most severe. So this would be 2 to 4 inches of rain, although I'm sure there'll be some local issues. This is going to be a needed beneficial rain. There's that low pressure moving there, through there. So anywhere along this area, northwest Florida, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, Louisiana, there is a need for rain. Now, there's also in the West Coast, maybe San Diego, parts of the California coast. It looks like there could be some heavy rain later in the week with a slow-moving Pacific storm system. Now, as far as a comment about the Midwest, I wanted to sort of point out that the ag region harvest is mostly done. And I think now we need to think about let's recharging some of that soil moisture. Remember I showed you in the drought, good part of the Midwest. Let's go back to that. Good part of this area is in drought. So now we need to recharge that soil moisture as we go through the winter season. And this is the next 30-day precipitation anomaly. A couple things of interest. It looks like the Pacific Northwest is going to dry out after this current rain, but the Midwest ag region remains fairly dry with some exceptions. So let's take a look at that. First of all, real quickly this week, here's the first system producing heavy rain here. We have some in the Pacific Northwest, and later in the week, this front arrives. So finally, to end today's briefing, let's take a look at the week 2 right here. And you can see not as strong of temperature anomalies or departures as we see in the 6 to 10 day. And this will be interesting. Maybe some recharging rain in the center of the U.S. And again, why do we need that? To recharge soil moisture and hopefully get some runoff into the rivers. Now, with it being as dry it is and with soils not yet frozen, a lot of that will just soak into the soils and we won't get too much river runoff. Anyway, that's your briefing. I salute all of our veterans this Veteran Day weekend, and I'll be talking to you real soon. Take care.